Hey everybody, it's Paula here from the Excel Club and welcome to another week's Excel Curation Corner. In this video, we share with you some awesome content around Excel that we found on the web in recent weeks. But today, I'm not on my own. Today, I have a special guest, and this guest, most of you will already know. It is Celia, and Celia hosts the Toronto Meetup. She's also an MVP. How you doing, Celia? How are you?
Hi, Paula. Thank you for having me. I'm good. Thank you. How are you?
Not too bad, not too bad. Just so everybody knows, I invited Celia on to the Curation Corner, and normally when I invite somebody on, they will go and find 3 or 4 pieces of content, and I will also find 3 or 4 pieces of content. But this time Celia put in an awful lot of work, and she also found content for me to share. So everything that we're sharing with you today has been handpicked by Celia. So Celia, before we get stuck into sharing some content, maybe we should just find out a little bit about you. So you are an Excel MVP, but outside of Excel, do you have any interests? What is it that you do it yourself? Who is Celia?
Well, if I had time, my interest would go into, my time would go into crafts, photography, movies, and walks, and being with the family, of course. But lately, I have to confess, I'm very much into Excel all the time.
It does take up a lot of time.
Pretty
You're
much.
running the meetups, you're blogging.
Yeah, running the meetups, it's my full-time job as well. I work as a consultant, so that's a portion of my day goes to that. That's what puts bread into my table, on my table. Then I run the meetups that also take a little bit of work to prepare, to run, to advertise, all that. I also have a YouTube channel, and I try to put some content there every now and then. Not a lot so far, but I'm trying to improve that, and other things that I'm trying to work on. So yeah, Excel ends up taking a lot of, almost all of my time, and it's not difficult for me because I like it so much. So it ends up not being work. If it was too difficult, probably I would find time for other things, for sure.
I think we're very lucky, Celia, in that we both chose careers that we enjoy. It's more of a passion and a hobby than a career. But as you said, there's certain points where you have to just put bread on your table and knuckle down. And then there's other points where you can just enjoy the whole Excel experience, exploring it, mingling with people and stuff like that. The meetups you've been doing for quite a while, we'll put a link below this video directly to the meetup. So anybody that hasn't attended any can hop over and take a look and maybe attend the next meetup. You're running them quite a while now, Celia, yeah?
It's been, we celebrated 1 year in May this year. We celebrated our first anniversary. Initially, the meetings were in person, so you were required to be here in Toronto, but not anymore, or not for now, not anymore. And for now, we will see after these pandemic times go away. But for now, we run all the sessions online, so anyone can attend from anywhere in the world if they choose to. It's free to attend, and it's also easier for us to get presenters from all over the world because, again, they are not required to be in Toronto to come and present to our members. So we have
one of the advantages of COVID is that these things have happened. You can attend meetups. I've attended quite a lot of your meetups, which I would have never done. I've also presented,
of course,
which I would never have had the opportunity to do had COVID not have happened. It's kind of a negative out of a positive, but there's always a silver lining, I suppose.
Exactly. Yeah. There's pros and cons all the time.
Okay. Well, what we're going to do, Celia, is we are going to start sharing some of the content that we found. So I'm going to let you go first. If you share the first piece, I will then hop in and share the second piece, and we'll rotate them between us. Is that good with you, Celia?
That would be good.
Okay, well, before we do share, for everybody that's watching, you'll find a link below this video to all of the content that we're going to share today. So please do hop over and show these creators a little bit of support. And if you've not yet subscribed to my channel, I do hope that you will do so now. So Celia, are you ready to share your first piece of content?
I am. So the first one I'm going to talk about is Nabil Murad's video, a video that he just posted a few days ago. And the title of the video is Secrets of Naming Cells and Ranges in Excel, Amazing Tips and Tricks. Using named ranges is a fundamental skill in Excel for those who want to create more efficient workbooks. Named ranges are instrumental in making your formulas easier to read and are a great help when used in charts, data validation rules, and dashboards. If we program in VBA or build queries in Power Query that we need to be dynamic relatively to a parameter, for example, knowing how to apply named ranges is also a game changer that makes our life a lot easier in these kind of tasks too. In this video, Nabil Murad explains various methods that we can use to create named ranges, including shortcuts. Nabil is the master of the Excel shortcuts. You need to watch it. And then he goes over a series of increasingly demanding problem situations and shows us a set of tricks and shortcuts and powerful techniques for dealing with named ranges, whether static or expandable. So how we can create dynamic named ranges, and not only that, but also a problem that I have never seen being solved, which is about if you have a list that you want it to be part of a dynamic range for a drop-down, for example, drop-down menu, and then you have a few rows empty, and then you have another set of cells, but you don't want those to be part of the first named range. So he deals with, shows us how to deal with those situations. His techniques and examples involve Excel tables, Excel formulas, in particular offset, index, and Xmatch. And some of the these are some of the weapons that Nabil uses on his explanation. The data validation in tricky situations, like I mentioned, and so a very interesting video to watch, a lot to learn in just 20 minutes or so.
I really love Nabil's content. He does cover there's always these nifty tricks within his content, yes, that even if you're aware of the subject he's talking about, you'll definitely pick something up from him.
Yeah, in the end, another thing, that there's a button there on the name dialog, the named ranges dialog box, that I don't think I even have noticed that before, that allows you to extract a list of all the names and all the formulas for each one of the names. So you can print a list of all the names. So I definitely recommend you to watch this video. And Nabil also has a file that you can download and follow along. So there's my first tip.
Great. Brilliant. It's an awesome video. It really is a great video. Well, the first piece that I am going to share this week is from John and Excel Campus, and it's best practice for naming files. Now, this is one of them quirky little things that can come up quite often. And what is the best practice? What way should you name files? And it can be a little bit subjective. So this is John's opinion. And to be honest with you, I very much agree with the approach that he takes and the best practice route that he has in play for naming files. So he goes through basically the naming files by the detail of the actual file, and then also by using dates. Now, the benefits of naming files properly means that when you're trying to find something, you're going to find it easy. When you're trying to link to a file from Power Query or something else, it's always going to be much easier if you have all of the naming convention set up properly and you have good practice. It's just much easier to find files, to connect to files, to get data back from files. So I would definitely recommend that you hop over to that blog post and you take a look at that blog post.
Yeah, I find that the file naming convention, it's not a simple matter or topic in corporations sometimes. And I have had situations where I am called to help them with automating some kind of procedure. And one of the first things I have to discuss with them, okay, where are we going to place the files, or where are you storing the files with the data, and how are you naming them? And it's not easy sometimes to get people to use a consistent naming strategy. So
no, it's not. It's not. And, as part of best practice for spreadsheet and workbooks, it should be part of a company policy.
Exactly.
Okay, what have you got to share with us next, Celia?
So next is an article by Deborah Dalglish on her website. It's the topic title. The title is Excel Spill Formula Examples. So the idea of working with functions and spill results in Excel is still very new. At least for me, it is very new. It's not something that comes natural to my mind when I'm working on building Excel tools currently with the new features that we have available. In this article that is written by Deborah Dalglish using examples by Dermot Balson, we can expand our vision about the number and type of situations where we can expect to work with spilled ranges. In this post, Deborah talks about spill functions that can fill neighboring cells with their results to create dynamic ranges. Before showing examples of the new dynamic array functions, Deborah shows how other Excel functions and even just the cell reference can produce a spilled range. It's something that we need to get used now if you are working with Excel for Microsoft 365. Other formulas that exist in Excel for a long time, for example, the formula or the function offset, generate a cell reference as a result of the function. And therefore, the result will spill from the cell in which the formula was written. The dynamic array functions, unique, sort by, filter, sequence, rand array, are demonstrated as well in this post by Deborah. And as well, what happens if you use combinations of those. But then what was interesting to me to see in this post is, what about functions that we have created with VBA, so user-defined functions? Those, if the result of those functions are arrays, we will get the same type of behavior. This is, if you apply those functions to a cell in Excel, if the result is more than one cell, the result will spill. So there's also a file with exercises that you can download and follow along and practice this new technique.
That's a great post by Deborah, indeed. And I liked how it covered the user-defined functions and the VBA. I have no VBA skills, to be straight up and honest, but I'm sure that there's plenty of people out there that are looking at these spilled array formulas and wondering how this kind of is going to pan out within VBA and user-defined functions. So do hop over and check out that post from Deborah. It's really, really a great post. Okay, I will move on now and share my second piece of content. And this is by Mark Walter on storybi.com. And it's Excel to Power BI Part 2. So although I'm sharing Part 2 today, and there'll be a link below the video to Part 2, it's really this entire series that I want you to take a look at. Now, for those of us that have come from Excel, like myself, the transition over to Power BI, it's not that difficult if you've learned Excel Power Tools. So tools like Power Pivot, Power Query, and lesser known well tool would be Power View. And if you can master these, then moving over to Power BI is really, really not that difficult. In this particular article, what Mark goes through is his journey through Power BI, and when he discovered that you can link tables, or you can connect tables using the Power Tools rather than using a VLOOKUP function. So in this, you will learn how you can connect these tables using the power tools instead of the standard features that we would have used in Excel. So do hop over and have a look at that article. It is really, really detailed. It's very, very long. It goes through quite a lot of basic terminology that if you don't get at the start of Power BI, you may get confused later on, such as the setting up of relationships and stuff like that. So do take a look at that post by Mark on Story BI. Okay, Celia, you ready for your next one?
Yes, so the next one is an article by Ed Ansberry. The title is Use Power BI's Enter Data feature in Excel. So what happens is that in Power BI, and it's even almost linked with the subject that we were mentioning before. So if you are working with Power BI, in Power Query there's a new feature that allows you to create a table, a blank table in which you can enter and type in your data directly there. And then you can use that table in your data model. And that can be useful if you need to create just a small table to be a connection, for example, between two other tables in your data model. In Excel, we don't have that feature, but what he had decided to do was, okay, so let me create this in Power Query. Let's see what the M code is that is generated when I do that. And now let's try this in Excel, because Power Query and the M code, they are the same in Excel, except for a small number of exceptions, but pretty much they are the same. So he grabbed that code and he built that same feature. It's all about just creating a blank query using that code is just 3 or 4 rows of code, very small piece of content to just paste in there, and you have that feature to use in Power Query in Excel. So I thought it was an interesting.
It is very interesting. Yes, it is extremely interesting. And you know that adding data by table option that's not available in Excel, I've actually missed it not being in Excel because I've used Power BI. So learning how to do it using a little bit of M code is definitely a great workaround. So that's another awesome post to head over and take a look at. Okay, so the final piece of content that I am going to share today is from How to Excel. It's from Richard Shepherd, and it is 7 ways to extract the first or last N characters in Excel. So 7 different ways to do this. Now, there's always more than one way to do things in Excel, and I'd really love to hear which is your favorite method of this if you do go over and take a look at this post. But what Richard goes through is the use of using the left and right functions, extracting characters using the text to column feature, which is something that I would not have considered myself. There's also the ability to use VBA, and then there's also the ability to use Power Pivot and the Power Tools in Excel to do the same. And we've touched on the Power Tools and some of the other content that we shared as well. So that is another awesome article. Again, just to give you a kind of broader spec on the way there are so many things just to come up with the same result in Excel that you can do it so many different ways. So that is all of the content that I have to share. You don't have anything left either, Celia, do you?
It's good. No.
No?
Everything is good. Yeah.
Well, I think that is about it, Celia. I'd like to thank you very, very much for sharing all of this content with us today. And just to remind everybody, Celia did select all of the content that we have curated today. So please do hop over to some of the posts, show some of the creators a little bit of support. I'm going to send on some BAT rewards. If you are a creator and you want to know how to pick them up, you can find a link below this video to a video that will explain all of that. So do pick up these rewards because they are monetary tips that I think you are entitled to for sharing such awesome content. So that's it for this week. Thank you very much, Celia.
Thank you, Paula, and thank you for running this amazing session. Every week I look forward for your Curation Corner episode. Excel Curation Corner, very, very good work. Thank you, Paula.
Thank you very much. So it's over to you now. Is there any content that you read or watched this week that you'd like to share with us, something useful that the community would find of interest? If so, please do drop a comment below and let me know what was your favorite piece of content from this week. Until next week, take it easy and goodbye now.
Stay safe. Bye.
Bye now.